Let's see. Okay, thank you. Babe, could you possibly get my laptop because it has my OneDrive on it?
I'll go get it.
Let's see. Do we have people in here? Give people a chance to join. We should have did this from the beginning, huh? Yay! Hi! All right, so let me get this thingy off. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you. I had to switch over to my phone. Yay! You guys are back. Thanks for your patience. All right. Can everybody hear me? That's my cousin. No, don't tell them hi. This is part of the team. My cousin Rachel. Okay, thank you. Okay. Everybody says hi.
Hey.
Okay, guys, so we're gonna jump right into these questions. I've got some questions that you all have sent me. I should have did this from the phone from the beginning. And then I have some questions, obviously, that you might want to ask here in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some of the questions that were sent to me in advance. All right, and hopefully I can keep an eye out for these questions, but I've got my husband here and I've got Rachel here also looking at your questions to let me know if I missed anything that people want me to answer. Okay, so the first question that I want to answer that I thought would be just a good break opener is, hi Stephanie, do you edit your own videos? They said they love my outro, thank you. And they asked, you know, if I send it off to be edited, they want to know who designed my outro, thumbnails, who edits, all of those kind of things. Basically saying that they were interested in starting a YouTube channel and wanting to know how to do those things. So my husband and I do everything on this channel. So the thumbnails, the photo shoots, the music, he made the beat, I sang on it, and my brother-in-law is the one who did the audio producing on that song that you guys are familiar with, the What's on Your Mind. So we do everything on this channel. So if you are wanting to start a YouTube channel and you're concerned about being able to afford all the things that you're wanting, just know that, you know, there is probably an audience that is very invested in the journey that you're wanting to talk about on your channel. So definitely want to encourage you all to, if any of you are thinking about starting a YouTube channel, don't be afraid. I didn't do it for years, and once I finally did, I was really grateful for it. Okay, so as we've got more people coming in, I want to talk again about the giveaway, just explain how that's going to work. There are a few things I'm going to be giving away tonight. I'm going to be giving away, you might remember in my last vlog, I talked about a scent company. I have 2 scents that I'll be giving away. I'm going to be giving away this Q&A journal that you see me talk about in my vlogs. I'm going to be giving away this soul therapy journal that you see me talk about in my vlogs as well. And I'm going to be also giving away $100 cash. So the way that this is going to work with the giveaway is I want to make sure that people are that are actually interested in those things are in the running to get it. And so once we announce certain parts of the giveaway, just leave your Instagram handle if you have one. And let us know which gift you're interested in, and you can win multiple gifts. So there's no reason not to enter if you're interested in something. Okay, so I see some of you guys are already sending in some really good questions. So let me get to some of your questions. It's a little harder on my phone to get to the questions. Let's see. My husband's saying I should just pull it up on my computer. Well, let me do it this way. I can see him now. Okay, so questions that you guys have for me. What's the difference between practicum and internship? That's a great question. If you are at NCU, I can tell you exactly what the difference is. If you are in a different program, it might look a little different. I can say at NCU, a practicum is awarded 3 credit hours, whereas an internship is only awarded 1 credit hour. And that is because a practicum has it's a little heavier on assignments because you're just getting into seeing clients. So this is when you're, just getting into seeing clients. And it's going to make it so that, you are familiarizing yourself with the models that work for you and things like that. When you get into your internship, your only focus is on building what they call your capstone presentation. And the capstone presentation is just like a culmination of all of the things that you've been learning in your regular courses, what you've been learning in your internship. You pick your model of choice and do an entire presentation, also showing the different things that you are learning or leaning into. So internship is awarded less credit hours because it's less work in a way, other than just working on your capstone. And practicum, you're just getting into seeing clients, so there's a little bit more of a workload outside of seeing clients. So hopefully that answered your question about the difference between practicum and internship. All right, guys, let's look at some more of your questions. And in Dossier, Rachel, if y'all see a good one, let me know too.
Someone said, what has the process been bringing your authentic self into the room with a client while still maintaining healthy boundaries?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me read that again from Rose Allen. Thank you for that question, Rose. You said, what is the process of bringing your authentic self into the room with the client while still maintaining healthy boundaries? That's a great question because if you are trying to work with the client and be casual in how you're working with them, and you want to be maybe fun or silly like how you would typically be with friends or family, it can be hard to do that and maintain those boundaries. I actually had to learn that kind of the hard way. I had a client that I was seeing for probably 2 years, and she would share something happening in her life, and I could tell she felt like isolated or alienated in what she was sharing that she was feeling. And so sometimes I would try to share stories about myself to help her feel less alienated. For a lot of my clients, that works very well. But for this client, she was saying that because she felt that my experiences really weren't as severe as hers, it almost felt like in a way that I was minimizing her experience. So you have to be really careful with that self-disclosure, making sure that you're not making your clients actually feel more alienated or more isolated as you try to connect with them. So my new way that I've been working with clients, I won't say new, pretty much, after I got out of the internship phase, the way that I dealt with that is by essentially focusing on questions. If a client is talking about something traumatic, you can focus on asking questions that will help further their learning instead of relying on your own experiences to help further their learning. So that is something that I learned as a really good boundary is, don't focus so much on trying to relate to your clients. Just help them unpack the stuff that they're already dealing with on their own. Great question. Thank you. You guys see any other great questions I should get to?
Yes. Does your supervisor have to be an MFT?
So it depends on your state and it depends on your program. For me, my supervisor was a co-AMFT accreditor AAMFT supervisor. This means that this supervisor went through specific training to be a supervisor for marriage and family therapists. But a lot of schools and a lot of states recognize that marriage and family therapy can be a rather small community within certain towns and areas. So they have to accept you having a supervisor that might come from a different modality. So I have heard of people getting it approved to have a social worker as their supervisor, for example, or a licensed professional counselor. It's really just about focusing on that licensing portion. And if you don't have an MFT that you're comfortable with in your area, just ask for approval, request approval from your state, and more than likely they'll probably say it's okay if there's like a limited number of supervisors available in your area. Great question.
Next question, would you be open to doing a mock session?
Yeah, would I be open to doing a mock session? This is something that I get asked to do all the time. I'm totally open to doing it. It's about finding like some actors who would be comfortable playing those roles. I feel like most of the time when I see okay, Rachel's volunteering. A lot of times when I see the mock sessions, it's like I feel like sometimes the problems that they're showing are totally unrealistic, or I'll feel like, the acting is so bad, like it throws me out of the session. So, for those of you who don't know, I did go through an arts high school, and I did do performance in college too. So sometimes like I'm really too keyed into those things. But the short answer to your question, yes, absolutely. I will have a mock session at some point on my channel. Let me know, what you would like to see a mock session of. If there are certain models that you'd like to see, that would be helpful for me to know what kind of mock sessions to do on the channel. So that would be great.
Next question, how has sessions been for you on Zoom?
Oh, how have sessions been for me on Zoom? So I actually have been absolutely loving the Zoom sessions. As you can see, if you've watched my most recent vlogs, I'm actually back in the office, but even with a lot of my clients knowing that I'm back in the office, they still prefer Zoom. And these are clients that I was seeing for years in person. And a lot of them were even hesitant about doing the Zoom sessions, but then after we started doing them, they got really excited and realized like, hey, this is a super convenient way for me to get exactly what I need. So I'm loving the Zoom sessions. The thing I was most worried about was like play therapy. I'm like, how can you do play therapy on Zoom? And what I ended up realizing is that, it depends on the kid. So a lot of my clients are actually a lot more active when they're in their own room playing with their own toys, and I can ask them to show me something that brings them comfort, show me something that reminds them of a sad time, and they can actually do those things because they're in their own space. So I really like Zoom for sessions, but now that I'm starting to see some clients in person too, I like the balance. I did kind of miss being able to pick up on those body language cues, but in person, my clients are wearing masks, so I don't get to see the bottom half of their face, and on Zoom, I don't get to see the bottom part of their body. So it's give and take.
What role does your faith play in your job and daily life? And also, do you have a favorite verse?
Okay, what role does my faith play? Honestly, my faith does not play a big role in my work that I do with my clients. For me, now there are therapists at my job who are Christian counselors. So they might have their master's in divinity as well as counseling. So those needs are already met with other therapists. So my therapy is a little bit more streamlined and in general. I'll work with my clients specifically on what they want to work on. And so I know like some colleagues, for example, might work with someone and ask them a question like, are you saved? And I find that when you do that with clients, sometimes that's another way of further alienating them, especially if there were already triggers regarding that with their family of origin. So honestly, I don't incorporate a lot of faith into my practice. So that's just the honest answer.
And do you have a favorite verse?
Do I have a favorite verse? I like Corinthians 4:13.
None? Okay. Would you ever move to another state with your license?
Would I ever move to another state? All of my family is here in Georgia, like all of my family. More and more of my husband's family is moving to Georgia as well. So we always say we'll probably always be in Georgia. But I am opening to practicing in another state, and that's one of the great things about Zoom is that it gives me the ability to be able to see clients in a different state. But keep in mind, if you're thinking about doing the same thing, that when you are seeing clients, if you're licensed in Georgia, your client needs to be a resident of Georgia. If you're licensed in California, the same thing. So you can move around if you're doing Zoom, but your clients need to be residents in the state that you're in. And some of those restrictions were lifted a bit with COVID, but not sure what it's going to look like in another year or two. Now, I want to, some of you did send questions in advance, so I do still want to answer some of the questions that you guys sent, and then we're going to move into one of the giveaways. So, do you think there is a multiple/dual relationship resulted by your having a YouTube channel? and being a practicing MFT. Have you had any surprises at work related to your channel? What advice would you give another MFT who wants to start their YouTube channel? This is an excellent question about, basically, relationships sometimes, seeming like they, could be damaged or sabotaged by me having a YouTube channel. And that was one of the things that I was really, really worried about. And it started getting to the point where whenever I was seeing a client, I would be worried in the back of my mind, do they know that I have a YouTube channel? And so one of the things that, once it started happening with that GQ video, for those of you who have found the channel from GQ, because that was such a big video, that's where a lot of my clients found out that I had a YouTube channel, but none of them expressed, any concerns about it. My clients know like their confidentiality is extremely important to me. Even if you watch my vlogs, I always put in a disclaimer about the fact that I will not reveal any sensitive client information. If you want to start a YouTube channel and you're a marriage and family therapist or any type of mental health practitioner, I would just say make sure that the client's confidentiality is at the forefront of your thoughts when you're working with these clients. If they find out that you have a YouTube channel or you let them know that you have a YouTube channel, just let them know that you will never reveal their personal information, so just make sure that, you're being very, very careful and not prioritizing, gaining clout or being famous over your client's privacy and confidentiality. That's the most important thing to keep in mind, in my opinion, if you're going to have a YouTube channel. Okay, so we're going to get into the first item of the giveaway. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to give away is this Q&A journal. I love this. I talk about this all the time. For those of you who are not familiar with it, this is a 5-year journal. And so what it is like every day it'll have a question, one question per day. Normally there's short questions and you answer the same questions for 5 years. This is something that I did with my best friends. We started this back in 2020, actually last year. And now we just finished the 2nd year worth of answering questions. And so this is a really cool way to check in with yourself and something fun to do with your friends or family if you want to. So I'll be giving away this Q&A journal. Keep in mind, just because you put your name in the running for one thing does not mean you cannot put your name in the running for something else. So there's absolutely no reason not to. And the way that you enter your name into the running for this Q&A journal is just put your Instagram handle and just put Q&A after it. So that way they can put you into the randomizer, and we'll have to DM on Instagram because YouTube doesn't have DM capabilities. So also make sure you're following me there and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So that's the first thing we're giving away is this Q&A journal. Keep in mind, coming up in the giveaway, I will be giving away $100. Okay, so the next question that I'm going to answer, I want to thank, first of all, Angela B. Hansen. If you're in here, Angela sent me so many questions. I saw her earlier when we were in the first Fake Out Live, and then now that we're in this real one, I want to say thank you to Angela for sending me so many questions. One of the questions she asked was your husband supportive with all the time away while studying and attending school? Then her next question was, do I use multiple models for treatment? So I'll answer the first one first. My husband was definitely very supportive during my schooling process. I actually didn't even start graduate school until after we got married. Some of you probably aren't familiar with my very first video that came out on my channel, but I talk about how I quit my corporate job to work for free as a therapist for a year. And yeah, you need some support to make that kind of decision. And so it was very, very cool to be able to tell him what my dreams were and for him to be like, hey, we'll figure it out. Throughout our marriage, there have been times where he's been unemployed or I've been unemployed, and we always just try to hold each other down and focus on, whatever our dreams and goals are and how we can help each other. So that is the answer to that question. And the next question was, do I use multiple models for treatment based on the client's needs, or do I just use structural family therapy? That question is funny to me because I do not use structural family therapy. At least not like, it's not my go-to model. A lot of you actually know me from that video, which is funny because that's actually a video I didn't even want to put out because I felt like nobody was going to care about these model reviews. And there was one of my subscribers kept asking, like every day, please do structural family therapy. And I wanted to just put it out just so she could see, like, hey, sorry, I don't have the audience for this. Top performing video. So that's the video that got me started on the model reviews. The model that I say I lean the most on is collaborative therapy, which ironically I still haven't put a video out about yet. But really the main difference I would say between being in grad school and being like an actual practice is that the models really don't make a big difference. Oh, can you hear me? Somebody, can you hear me?
Well, it's delayed, so.
Okay, but you still hear audio? I thought somebody said sound. But one of the main difference between graduate school and actually seeing clients is that, in grad school, you have this strong emphasis on the differences between these models. Even though they do teach you about common factors and things like that, they still want you to understand the differences. But once you get into real practice, nobody's asking you about the model that you practice. Now, if you are like a certified Gottman therapist or Bowenian therapist, then yes, you're going to probably be leaning into these models that you paid extra money to learn a lot more about. But for the most part, you want to be flexible to your client's needs. And you want to be able to make it so that they know that you're tailoring your model to what works best for them. So if they like to vent, you give them the opportunity to just talk. If they like to do behavioral things like worksheets maybe, then you want to be the therapist that brings worksheets. You don't want to be changing yourself so much that you're incongruent, with like your authentic self, but you want to be flexible to what they need. So I'll take some more questions from the live stream. Did you see any good ones, Ray?
Yes. Someone asked, where is it? Ooh, oh, okay. Do you have a preference so far of working with couples, families, or individual clients?
Okay, if you guys didn't hear that, do I have a preference between couples, families, or individual clients? That's a great question because it changes. Okay, so when I first came into marriage and family therapy, I was idealizing this, the idea of working with couples and romantic love, and I don't know what I thought it was going to be like. But once I actually started seeing couples in my internship, you guys, I would leave those sessions like sweating. I was so stressed out thinking about those sessions, and I'm like, how can I help them? Because what happens with a couple, you get into the room, they already have their well-established way of arguing, right? So you're basically trying to find your way in to keep them from arguing. And what they're doing, they're almost like running you over. I had a supervisor tell it to me this way. She said, when you're working with the family, it's kind of like sitting down at the family table. You might pick up on some of the like passive aggressiveness and different things, but for the most part, people are going to be on their best behavior because there's so many witnesses. When you work with an individual, it's like holding somebody's hand as you walk along the beach. Yeah, the sand can be like a little tough to walk through, but it's easier when you can walk with them. But when you're working with the couple, it's like you're in a boxing ring. That's what she told me, and I never forgot that. And it is so true. But now, as I've become a more seasoned therapist, and I'm not like the most seasoned therapist, guys, so I'm not saying like I've got 30 years of experience under my belt, but just saying that now that I've got more couples I've been working with, it's a lot easier to pick up on those patterns with arguments. And it's also a lot easier to pick up on the insecurities that usually fuel the arguments. So if you are in a place where, you're just looking to work with people who, are in a position where they want to be together, couples work is really fulfilling. Where it's really hard is when you have to do discernment counseling. And that's basically where they don't know if they want to be together or not. Or worse, you got one person that definitely wants to be together and one person that's really not sure. And so, always trying to measure, are we wasting time? So yes, Robinson J, this will definitely replay later. I'm saving this to my channel. But yeah, so I would say my favorite right now is probably working with couples because I have the tools to do it. But I also really, really love working with mothers and daughters. That's awesome. And individual clients, like I've told you before, is like, that's a majority of my practice. So I'm extremely comfortable working with individuals. So that is I'm most comfortable with individuals, but I think I feel the most fulfilled with couples because you can really see that progress. Okay, so let's move on to the next item for the giveaway. So the next item, if you guys remember, huh? Oh, do you already have the winner? We got the randomizer. Okay, so we've got the winner for the Q&A journal. Who's the winner?
I'm spinning it.
Oh, he's spinning it right now. This is fun.
It's okay to learn and grow.
It's okay to learn and grow. It's okay to learn and grow. You won the Q&A journal. I will be mailing that to you. And so, I'll just need your address. I'll actually have it sent to you directly from Amazon. So, congratulations. It's okay to learn and grow. Love your name. And the next thing we're going to be giving away in the giveaway is going to be one of the Dossier scents that I talked about before. So like I said, these scents are inspired by like bigger names. And so this one is inspired by Chanel, Coco, Mademoiselle. And so it is a relatively strong scent. If you like your scent to last you throughout the day, these will last you, okay? And this is how it looks. They call it Oriental Oak Moss, but like I said, it's based on that Chanel scent. I think this is a more unisex scent. When I smelled it, it didn't smell like feminine or masculine to me. I think it's unisex. It's kind of, I think it would be good for like the fall or winter. It has notes of orange, peach, jasmine, oak moss, vanilla. So it smells really good. So if you are interested in getting the scent, put your name and also your Instagram handle is when I say name. Put your Instagram handle and put scent number 1. Put that and we will enter you into the giveaway. And like I was saying before, absolutely anybody can win these things. If you already won something, you can still win again. So there is no reason not to put your name into the drawing if you are interested in absolutely anything. And keep in mind, again, I will be giving away $100. Okay, so what questions do you see, Rachel?
Someone asked, what class would you say was the most challenging during your graduate program?
Okay, what class would I say was the most challenging during my graduate program? Ooh, we had some course that was like statistics almost, like I think it was like an extension of the research and ethics, something like that, where basically we were having to do a lot more math than I was expecting to do being in a mental health profession. I loved math going all the way up even through college, but I was not expecting to do it in grad school. It worked out fine. I was able to get an A in the class, but that was definitely the most challenging because I'm more of I like classes where there's discussion and papers, even exams, but like having to do math in my grad school program. I just wasn't anticipating it, but I still did well. That was a great question. Did you have another one?
How important is it for your clients to have a therapist that looks like them?
Ooh, that's a great question. How important is it for a client to have a therapist that looks like them? It really depends on the client. I have a lot of clients that look like me and a lot of clients that don't. I have male clients, I have female clients, I have non-binary clients, I have clients who are Black, clients who are white, Hispanic, Asian clients. I have clients from so many different backgrounds. What I will say is that whenever I do my diagnostic assessments or diagnostic verifications, I always ask, what are your preferences? Don't be shy. Do you have a race preference? Do you have a preference even when it comes to politics? Like, would you prefer to have a therapist that might lean more on the liberal side if possible? Because some clients, even if the therapist is not judgmental, they still might hold certain things back because they just assume the therapist doesn't get it or the therapist would judge them. So I find that you really can, move past a lot of that awkwardness and discomfort when you're able to have someone that you feel like is at least on the same page with you. But on the same page with you might mean different things. If you've got someone who needs to process racial trauma, they probably need a therapist or want a therapist that shares their same race. If you have someone who might be experiencing trauma related to their gender, they might want someone who can relate to those things and understand those things. So I think that it can be important, but it's not always the most important. The most important thing is that the therapist and client can have a connection, and that's possible across the board if we open our minds a lot of times. But I do say, if possible, working with somebody that looks like you can kind of expedite the process of you feeling comfortable with them. Any other questions you think would be good?
Sure. How do you feel about the federal government not accepting MFTs like they do clinical social workers, etc.?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the government, I don't know if I use the word accept, but there are certain restrictions or certain privileges that MFTs do not have that other mental health professions do. For example, in Georgia, we were working recently to make it so that MFTs could do a 1013, which is basically, if you have someone who's a danger to themselves or others, you have the sheriff come and escort that person away or make sure they are taken into care. And MFTs were not able to do that. And so I think just recently that law was approved to include MFTs. So how do I feel about it? I mean, of course, as an MFT, I hate it, but I also try to be pretty active in the change and trying to make it so that that is not the case. And I'm in Atlanta, where the MFT population is actually relatively large compared to other states. So I hate it. I don't know what else to say other than, I hope that there is change, especially since MFTs do a lot of the same work, if not, in some cases more, only because of the populations that we work with. So hopefully that wouldn't be the case for much longer. All right, so let's move on to the next or did you already have the winner for the scent?
I was seeing if anybody last call. I'll go ahead and hit it.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and announce the winner of scent number 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and move into soul therapy, and you guys can go ahead and start putting that into the chat. This is another journal that is a question format. It's designed to be for 365 days. It's also a journal that was written, the questions were written by an MFT. I love that. It was a gift from my mother-in-law. She's really good at giving me gifts. And, it asks really good questions. Like, for example, it'll say, we are ruled by our habits. What negative habits do you need to let go of? So it might be something like that, or it might be something like, we are stronger together as a community than against one another. There is enough magic in the world for us all to have what we want and accomplish amazing things. How can you create more community in your life? So it just, soul therapy, I feel like the questions in here are just so good, and I try to take my time answering them. It's supposed to be a question a day. I've had this thing for years, okay, like 3 years. And so I just pick it up whenever I want to, but I think this is like a great thing to just have on hand. If you're like me, you love to journal and like reflect. I think when people ask me, how can I be my authentic self with clients, that is definitely a big key, is journaling. Because sometimes even with clients, you can get triggered. Your client might feel like they're being resistant, or they might feel like, they might be condescending, or maybe they just remind you of somebody and they're like a perfectly pleasant person. And so you need to have a space where you are processing, all therapists need to have their own therapist, at least on standby, okay? But if not that, at least having, a way of processing your feelings, people to talk to, and journals to write in. So soul therapy is a very, very cool journal that I have on hand. Do we have the winner for the first scent?
Angela B. Hansen.
Angela B. You won the dossier scent, that first scent number 1. That's awesome. Again, Angela, thank you so much for all the questions that you sent me in advance. I was like kind of practicing with your questions, getting ready for this live. So I'm so glad that you're walking away with at least one thing, maybe more. Again, keep in mind, you can enter into all of these. If you win more than once, you will just have more than one thing. Okay, so another question that I got in advance is, do I have a private practice? And I actually get this question a lot, so I want to definitely talk about it here. I do not. Oh, how do you enter the giveaway, Evergreen? What you do is you just say if with the thing that you want, the thing that now we're doing is soul therapy. Just put your name and put soul therapy. Your Instagram handle and put soul therapy. Only reason we're doing Instagram handles is because you can't DM on YouTube. So make sure you're following me on Instagram and also subscribe to the channel. Okay, so people ask me all the time, and a lot of you assume that I'm in private practice, and I'm actually not. I'm not in private practice. And the next question was, if so, how soon after you qualified did I set it up, which I didn't, but am I able to do it? I am able to have a private practice now. Oh, congratulations, Ashley. You finished your first semester of MFT grad school. That's awesome. I am able to have a private practice now, but the reason that I haven't done that is because when you have a private practice, you're taking on the responsibility of working with insurance companies. You're taking on this responsibility of managing the note process and security process. You're taking on the responsibility. A lot of insurance companies will not accept virtual play, so you need to have a physical building separate from your home in a lot of states in order to work with insurance panels if you have a private practice, or you can only work with self-pay, for example. And these are just things that I don't want to worry about yet. And also, I love the work that I'm able to do right now within the community. I see a lot of clients through Medicaid, clients who otherwise would probably be unable to afford therapy. And so that's just really important to me. There's probably going to be a time in my life where I need maybe a little more freedom. I do have some restrictions. For example, there's a cap on how much I can make working at a community agency, whereas in private practice, it's pretty much going to be as long as I work, essentially. But when I'm working in a community mental health agency, I am limited to how much I can make, and there are expectations for how many clients I will see. So those are some of the negatives, but I do love the fact that I have benefits. I have my own room there. And the people I've been working with for years. These are the same people I interned with, and I'm still working with a lot of them. So, for a lot of people, it's just comfort. For me, to still be continuing to work there. And that's why I'm not in private practice. But another question that was asked in here was, what are my goals in 5 years? Definitely within the next 5 years, I plan to have a private practice, but I'm just not in any rush, because once I go into private practice, I'll probably be in private practice until I retire. So I'm not rushing. I'm the kind of person that likes to pace myself. Okay, any other questions on your end, Rachel?
Yes. Someone said, I had a therapist that always gave worksheets. Do you take offense if they don't use them?
Oh, that's a great question. And a lot of therapists do use worksheets or like assigned books. I've tried to become the worksheet therapist because I feel like sometimes those worksheets are really, really helpful, but it's just not my style. I'm more of the I want you to go out and spend time with this friend kind of homework versus a worksheet. But for the most part, I think therapists, part of the assignment is also seeing if you do it. So just because you didn't do it doesn't mean you failed your homework. It's still good observationally. It's good to know that you have this client who might be a little bit triggered about, doing certain things, or they might not want to take extra time out and do those things. So therapists don't get upset if you don't do those worksheets. And some therapists will be like, okay, you didn't get to it outside of session. Let's just do it together here in session. So no, they're not mad. Trust me, they're not going home at night being like, oh, that girl did not do that worksheet, that assignment. I'm so upset about that. No, they don't get upset. By the time you're out of that session, they probably already forgot about the fact that you didn't do your homework anyway. And some therapists, if I'm honest, some therapists just feel compelled to give homework because they just feel like they need to give you something to do, and they might even forget that they gave them to you themselves, So that is it. Yeah, people are asking how do you enter into the giveaway. Just put your name, your when I say your name, I mean your Instagram handle, and the thing that you're entering for, which is soul therapy, is what we're doing. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next giveaway item, which is a second scent by Dossier. And this will be the last scent by Dossier. This one is a little bit more on the feminine side, but hey, you wear whatever scent you want to wear, so don't be restricted by that. But this one is called Floral Pear, and it is inspired by Joe Malone's scent called English Pear and Freesia. And so if you're familiar with that, that is it's a kind of strong scent, I would say, strong and like fruity. Again, these scents will last you all day. When I was using mine, my bathroom smelled like the perfume for like the week. It was kind of nice, like coming in and feeling refreshed. I'm still looking for like a signature scent, but it's fun playing around. So yeah, if you are interested in getting this scent, the notes are pear, watermelon, rhubarb. It has some woody notes, musk, amber, orange blossom. So if that sounds like something you're interested in or would like to try, just put your Instagram handle and put in scent number 2. All right. Huh? Ready to announce the soul therapy winner? Okay, so we got one more entry for soul therapy. Let me answer a question before we announce the winner of the soul therapy journal. Did you want to ask a question, Ray? Okay.
So you kind of already answered this, but you may have more to it. How do you handle awkward or intense moments in a session with your clients? Also, when you as the therapist are upset, is it easy to navigate discomfort within a family, individual, or couple session?
Okay.
So good questions.
Yeah, so basically asking about handling awkward or uncomfortable situations when you're in therapy. Therapists are humans too. If you can feel that awkwardness, honestly, we probably can too, especially since a lot of therapists are like more on the empathetic side. So they can feel it. But I would say that the way that I handle it is I try to compartmentalize my sessions. So there might be a session where it is really hard. Like I'm the kind of person, like if I feel that anxiety, I might like start sweating, and I'll try to like calm myself. So some things I might do is like, I might like, mess with my nails a little bit, become a little fidgety to address that anxiety. But you have to work through it, and you really have to pay attention and ask yourself, why does this make me anxious? These are the opportunities for you to work with your supervisor or work with your peers to let them know like certain situations are making you really anxious, because remember, every situation that could make, one therapist nervous could make another therapist excited or like they're totally calm. So there's a reason why it's making you feel that way. I noticed, for example, one of my things that'll make me feel really anxious or uncomfortable are like, it's like silence. Like if I ask a question and the client's just looking back at me and I'm looking back at them and they're looking back at me, at that point, I'm like, oh God, it was like a dumb question that I asked, to start going through that process of like almost wanting to recant what I said. But just being, just strong and knowing that that discomfort is telling you something either about yourself, about the client, or about your relationship with the client. It's sometimes it's really good to just bring it up in the moment. I'll say like, okay, I noticed that you're a little fidgety. I am too. Like, what do you make of that? And a lot of times clients will be like, oh, it's just uncomfortable because there's something I know I need to talk about that I really don't want to. Okay, so at least I know that there's something we're not talking about. Or they might say, I'm not really sure how I'm going to be able to pay for my next few sessions. Like those kind of things sometimes can come out when you do at least allow yourself to comment on it. So if you're feeling that discomfort, I would encourage you to, if you can, kind of talk about it in a gentle way where they feel comfortable bringing up anything happening in the room to you that they notice as well. Okay, so we've got the winner for the Soul Therapy Journal. Okay, who's our winner? All right. Who is it, babe?
Gabriella Olgan Flores.
All right, Gabriella, you won the Soul Therapy Journal. Congratulations. I see Gabriella on here a lot too. So thank you for all the questions and support. We've got your Instagram handle. So all the winners, we will be reaching out to you on Instagram, or feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, and we can just verify your Instagram handle with what we have here in the chat, and we will get those things shipped out to you as soon as possible. Okay, so do you have enough entries for Dossier sent to, or you want to wait? Okay.
I still gotta put them in. It takes a while for me to do it.
No problem. Okay. Let me go through some more of your questions on here. Oh, you got one, Ray?
Yeah. Any advice for graduate school interviews? Mine is Friday.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck on your interview. Graduate school interviews, it depends on the school. I would always say you want to really look at that school's website, see what they are promoting. You know, you're going to have some programs that are going to promote diversity. You're going to have some programs that are going to promote, like sending their students into like the top building areas of their field. Like, it's really surprising to look at the different ways these schools market themselves. So if there's a school that you're really interested in, then just make sure that you're familiar with what they promote as like the selling point of their school, and align yourself with those things. You know, if they have diversity highlighted on their website, then you say, I am a therapist who is really interested in working with a diverse population of clients. Some of my previous experience working with people, or maybe you say, previously I didn't have any experience working with diverse populations, and that's one of the reasons why I went into therapy. So I would just say, just make sure you're focusing on what their objectives and goals are, and also make sure you watch my video where I talk about the questions you should be asking them. Things about like, is supervision included, and is this a paid internship? It does not have to be paid. My internship was not paid, guys. I actually paid for supervision, but there are some opportunities where you could get paid for your internship. So definitely don't feel uncomfortable to ask those questions that could feel uncomfortable, because this could ultimately end up being your long-term place of work. Like with me, I've been working with the same people, like I said, for the last 4 years. Okay, do we have a winner? Okay, not yet. That's all right. Let's see. Try to make sure. You got one?
Yeah, okay. I got him.
Okay.
Someone said, I'm taking finals this week in my clinical mental health counseling program. Any advice? They are intense.
Ooh. I don't know. I'm not in clinical mental health. I know there are some similarities between clinical mental health and marriage and family therapy, as there are with all the mental health professionals. But I would always say, when it comes to studying for exams and things like that, for me, it's really important to set boundaries and balance. Also, if you have a lot of test anxiety, just know that anxiety, Murray Bowen, who is one of the founding theorists in marriage and family therapy, he talks about anxiety as like just another form of energy. You can transform that into excitement. You can transform that into motivation. You can transform that into focus and concentration. Just allow your anxiety sometimes to fuel you into the energy that you need. And, I would say just don't get too overwhelmed. If you need to take a break, take a break. If you know this material, if you have a good feeling that you know this material pretty well, don't overwork it, because you'll end up working yourself into a frenzy. I saw one good question that just came up, which is, what is my favorite and least favorite part of my job? Okay, my favorite part of my job is definitely people trusting me with these really sensitive areas or aspects of their life. I feel like that is the most rewarding thing to me, is knowing that, these people who've met me as a stranger trust that I have their best interest at heart. And it's really important to me to protect that and not lose that trust. So that's my favorite part. My least favorite part of my job, it's got to be something around the paperwork thing. For me, paperwork has not been too overwhelming. But like, if you saw in my last day in the life vlog, like, I think having so many treatment plans back to back, like sometimes when you're working with insurance agencies or panels, like they have so many requirements for paperwork that's like counterproductive to working with the client. Even, for example, the fact that you have to have a diagnosis on the chart. And it makes sense because they want to know, like, what are we paying for? But, sometimes, like, that can be frustrating because you're focusing more on, the paperwork for this client than you are on, like, getting ready for what you're going to do with them in the next session or processing what you guys talked about in the last session. So, sometimes, like, I like doing a treatment plan, but when, my treatment plan might get, like, nitpicked and it's like, oh, you might use the word crisis here. Crisis is too strong of a word in this, or you didn't include this word. That can be frustrating. But again, that's one of the things that I have to deal with if I'm not going to be in private practice. So it's a pro, it's a pro that I don't have to, they're doing that. So they have to deal with the insurance company, not me. And so if I was the person who had a private practice, then I'd be the person having to deal with that. So I'm still grateful. Okay, so we've got the winner for, what is it, Dossier sent to?
Mm-hmm.
And who's our winner?
Ruby Flanders.
Ruby Flanders? Okay, congratulations, Ruby. Yay! You won the Dossier sent number 2. We will be reaching out to you on Instagram, or feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. And we will get your address and get this sent to you. So thank you so much for participating in the live tonight. And the last thing that we're going to be giving away, guys, is $100 cash, okay? So, let me know what your, once we pick the winner, I'm going to find out from you your preference for receiving that cash, whether it be Zelle, whether it be Cash App, whether it be Venmo. We'll talk about that via DM, but go ahead and put in your, if you've already won something, it's okay. You can still enter this giveaway for $100. Just put in your Instagram handle and put the cash $100. I love you guys so much, and I knew that, like, a lot of this stuff is good, but who doesn't love money, right? Especially around the holidays. Okay, so any good questions you got, Ray?
Yes. I recently read Maybe You Should Talk to Someone Because of You, and I loved it so much. Never thought about someone graduating from therapy before. Have you ever graduated a client from therapy?
Hi, yes, I actually have. Thank you for that question. For those of you who might not have heard Rachel, the person was basically saying that they have read Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, which is a book that I recommended in my first book reviews video. I don't remember what it's called, but like the 6 nonfiction books or whatever. She was saying that she read that book and that there was a concept of someone graduating from therapy, asking if I've ever done that. So I have had clients who have graduated from therapy. I don't usually make a huge ceremony of it, but like a lot of my clients, the reason they graduate from therapy is because they might be moving, for example, or they might be in a position where they are like having a wedding or having a baby, and they have very specific things they wanted to address before these big milestones. That's the main time where I will have a client who actually graduates from therapy, because they're coming in for a very specific thing. Most of my clients don't graduate from therapy because they think of therapy, this is the analogy I always use, they think of it more like the gym. Like when you go to the gym, you don't stop going to the gym because you reached your goals. You might stop going as often. You might change up the work that you're doing at the gym, but you don't just stop going. So a lot of my clients, I've been seeing them since I was an intern. So most of my clients, the reason why some of you have reached out to me asking about if I have any openings to take clients, and most of the reason why I don't is because I've been seeing the same clients for years. So that's one of those reasons. So when I have had those clients who have graduated, it'll be something like, I had a client, one of my first clients actually, she had a conversation that she really wanted to have with her father. And she didn't know how to broach it. So we really spent 3 to 4 months kind of outlining the most important aspects of that conversation, the things that kept her from bringing it up to him in the past, her worries about what he would say. We would literally map out the entire conversation. And, once she felt solid and confident in her perspective and why she had been so bothered and triggered by him, she went ahead and had the conversation. And then the graduation was us just like talking about why. Oh, congratulations on your A plus, Raquel. So happy to hear that you got an A in your class. I'm so glad that the channel is helpful for you. But yeah, when I have had a client who has graduated, it's been something like that. They come for something very specific, and our last session is always just like processing their progress. Like, girl, you couldn't even admit that this thing that XYZ did hurt you. And now look at you having these conversations, being non-confrontational, but being open and honest. Like, those things are like that's so rewarding for me when we can have those conversations. So I have had clients who have graduated from therapy, but if I'm honest, most of my clients, they just kick in with me forever, they said. So I love my clients. What professional do you belong to? Nope, just for me, just AAMFT. That's the only professional organization I belong to. I am in Delta Kappa Honor Society for Marriage and Family Therapy, but I haven't really used it, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Okay, guys, so we're gonna wrap up the live. We're getting close to an hour, and I think everybody got their names in. So he's still getting the names in. Okay. So we got time for some more questions. Let me look at some of these other ones you guys sent me to make sure. And Rachel's got one too. You got a good one? Okay, go ahead.
Do you have to take a state exam and a national exam to become licensed as a MFT?
The question is, do you have to take a state exam and a national exam to become licensed as an MFT? And the answer is, it depends on your state. Most of the time, it's going to be one or the other. Your state might have a specific exam that you take for them, and those state exams are normally a little more specific. They're going to have like laws relevant to just your state, for example. Now, in Georgia, we took the national exam, and there is not a Georgia-specific exam. And so those, it's going to be a little bit more general. You're not going to see questions specific about your state. I have a lot of people ask me, how did I prepare for my ethics exam? That's not a thing in Georgia. I didn't have to do an ethics exam. So that's why I never make a video about that, because I don't have any experience with it and I don't want to pretend that I did. So yeah, you depending on your state, you might have to take national or state. I don't know of any states where you have to take both, but if any of you have been in a state like that, make sure you comment that. You have one?
Any tips on how to network with other Atlanta therapists post grad school?
Oh, yes. First of all, hey, if you're from ATL too, it's nice to see you guys too. So the way that I networked with other marriage and family therapists was by being a part of the chapter. I actually have a video all about networking as a marriage and family therapist, especially if you are in an online program, because it can be really, really hard. But I think that networking is one of those things where it's really about being open to going into uncomfortable spaces to meet people you're not familiar with. So, you might go to a chapter event. You might even there's a lot of therapy networks online where therapists meet and might get together for dinner, or maybe you be the person to initiate that. Hey, let's get together in a group of us that we met in this Facebook group or whatever, and let's go out to eat or something like that. That's a great way. There's so many marriage and family therapists in Atlanta in comparison to other cities that you really shouldn't have a hard time meeting other marriage and family therapists. But also, don't limit yourself to only marriage and family therapists. I have LPC friends, social worker friends. There's a group of us that started out at this place together, and even though people have taken different career paths, we still get together all the time. And it's just really good to hang out with other people who are helping people heal trauma, because that can be such a load on you if you don't have a place to really process it. So hopefully those are some good tips. I go way more in detail on my networking video. And Dossier will tell me when we're ready for yeah, a lot of people want this money. I understand. I would be in there. I'd be putting my name multiple. Don't put your name multiple times though.
Someone asked, is it okay to cry in front of your clients, or should you try to restrain yourself?
Okay, so this is what I am not, you guys. A lot of these things are my opinion, right? So don't just take it as law, right? So when we talk about crying in front of your clients, I can only say this. I've never heard it from a client from a positive perspective. I have had clients come to me and they talk about how they were trying to unpack something with the therapist that maybe they've never talked about, and the therapist started crying, and they moved into the position that they were there to deal with, which is being the nurturer and having to take care and comfort other people in their life. So, you know, sometimes like our empathy can get the best of us and we feel like, hey, I need to, you know, just show this person that I really care. But if you can, I would say it's better to err on the side of caution, because I saw somebody wrote in here countertransference. Yeah, you know, like if your client is making you cry, again, that's something you might want to take to your supervisor or your peers and say like, oh my gosh, I was so emotionally invested in this client's story that I felt like I wanted to cry. I mean, if you can't help it, you can't help it. But if you can help it, I wouldn't like lean into it thinking that it's gonna make the client feel more comfortable, because I've mostly heard clients complain about that. I've never cried in front of a client ever, but I'm also just like not a crier, so it's a little easier for me. If you're a very emotional person, I know it's a little easier said than done, but definitely at least understand why you felt like with all the problems your clients bring to you, that specific client made you feel like you wanted to cry. Okay, you said you got it, babe?
Yeah.
All right, we've got the winner of $100, and then we'll be ending it for the night. And remember, all of the winners, please reach out to me on Instagram, or we will reach out to you on Instagram so that we can coordinate how to get these things to you. All right, who's our winner?
It's okay to learn, bro.
Ah, we have somebody who won 2 times, okay? It's okay to learn and grow. Congratulations again. Congratulations again. Do this more often. If you guys like this, please let me know. Like, I know we had like some struggles at the beginning, so like my husband's probably gonna be like, no more lives. But now that we're trying to, you know, maybe the phone thing just works out a little bit better. Y'all let me know if you want more lives. These are a lot easier for me to do than editing those videos. Like that, whenever you see me not uploading videos, it's usually because I don't feel like editing. So thank you guys for riding with me and being patient. We're a little bit over an hour now. Thank y'all so much for 20,000 subscribers, and congratulations to all the winners. And don't worry, we will be doing this again. If you didn't win anything, or even if you did, we will be doing more of these. I love you guys so much. Have a good night.